just as sort of a side-by-side comparison of the reasons and the opportunities that we see within blockchain. And I would call out two of them. One is around governance, which I can get into more, and that's the idea of voting and civil token holders. And we have other utility aspects to our token that I can get into as well. But there's the idea of permanence. And because the content is distributed across so many different computers, it's really all blockchains are, right? Just thousands of computers that are all sharing computing power and storage and all of this. So trying to delete content off every single computer, imagine trying to remove the newspaper from every place that it's been delivered to, right? So in this way, it creates a permanent archive. Now there are challenges within all of this, by the way, that we are working through, and other people within the broader blockchain world are also working through. There's some limitations, some things that we can't quite do yet. But those are the two big areas that we see opportunity. I mean, think back to when DNA Info was shut down, for folks who know that as a local site. And those journalists were very concerned about the archive when Joe Ricks shut down DNA Info. And for a time, that archive was gone. And it only came back really because there was a lot of public pressure and people were concerned about this. And even still, I think it's in some sort of state of flux. So I think in terms of just people's concern and alarm around the permanence of content and being the sort of first record of history, where does this live and what if it isn't available anymore? So here's kind of what I'm getting at, just to kind of reinforce the message here. And again, I'm going to show you all of this in a little bit more sort of detail and visually in just a second. And the civil token, by the way, so this is, owning cryptocurrency, okay? So does anybody here own cryptocurrency of any kind, just through Coinbase or something? Okay. So in this way, it is a token, but we are encouraging people to think of it as a utility, because for the value of the civil token to ever go up, the platform must be in service of journalism. It must attract more newsrooms to set up shop on our platform. Because what a new newsroom has to do, so if you think of eBay, I'm going to use eBay as an example for a second, or Medium, I use Medium. So if you want to be a blogger on Medium, right, there's not a whole lot that you have to do really. You just provide your name and password, create an account, maybe you try to monetize content, but you're just whoever you are. I read some amazing content on Medium, but I don't really know who these people are. So sometimes I read it with a pretty high degree of skepticism. But there's really nobody who's holding that community accountable other than maybe comments or somebody complains about something. If you were to come to civil in the future, once the token has been distributed and the platform is live, and you wanted to join our platform and start publishing, use our CMS, start making money, cash, not fiat, not cryptocurrency. The newsrooms that are publishing in our platform are just e-commerce, okay? So if you want to come to our platform in the future, you have to do 4 things. You have to tell the community, what is your mission? What is your charter? What are you about? There's no right or wrong, but just tell everybody why you exist. Who are the journalists that you're going to be working with? Who is part of your newsroom? Again, this is all shared with the community. This isn't to us, it's to everybody who's going to hold these newsrooms accountable. You have to agree to adhere to our civil constitution. I can kind of get into that. I'll show you the Constitution. It's currently up for public comment. And the Constitution you can kind of think of as like a terms of service. So if you're going to publish on Medium or any other platform, you probably don't even know you've just gone like yes to terms of service, and this is where everybody gets into some of the legal weeds with privacy and everything else. In our case, it's in service of journalism. The 4th thing you have to do is acquire about $1,000 worth of civil tokens. Now that doesn't go to us. What that goes to is it goes at risk. So you're saying, I'm going to uphold the civil constitution, I'm going to publish my content through your platform, I'm going to start making money from the community and people who think that I'm doing great journalism. All I have to do is uphold the civil constitution. Here's my $1,000 worth to say I'm going to commit to that. And if I don't, I can be challenged by any civil token holder in the community who feels like I violated the civil constitution. I can get into, this sets up a challenge. This is where the community participates and votes in this process. They have to, by the way, the challenger has to very specifically cite how they violated the civil constitution. If you want to be frivolous about it and start challenging newsrooms, it's going to get expensive to be an asshole, okay? There are other parameters that will limit those kinds of challenges. But let's just say somebody challenges a newsroom over some content that they've read. And that triggers a vote to every civil token holder in the community. And they have an opportunity to vote with whoever they feel is right. And whoever loses the challenge loses their tokens, because the challenger has to also stake tokens. So they lose their tokens. 50% of them go to the winner. The other 50% get distributed to everybody who participated in the vote. So this is where cryptoeconomics starts to incentivize people to participate. And again, the only way that the value of the token goes up is if this all starts to feel good, because if more newsrooms want to join our platform, they have to acquire those civil tokens. That puts a demand on the civil token, because this isn't being mined. There are a finite number of civil tokens. So that increases the value and the demand on the token, because there are more newsrooms joining our platform, and they all have to acquire these tokens from somewhere, from an exchange or wherever, in order to get into our platform. So we want it to be amazing, because we want journalists to feel like we have to go publish on civil. Great, yeah, we'll acquire civil tokens and adhere to your constitution. We just want to get in there and start doing this. So I'm going to keep moving here, because I don't want to get too into the weeds before we have time for questions. There are other aspects to sustainability that we can get into. The one thing to think about is that this is an ad-free platform. So this isn't about figuring out clicks for cash or whatever it is. There are no ads. This is a very direct newsroom to audience opportunity. We do not take a percentage of those transactions. I can get into kind of our business model, and it involves developers, and a bit like the Apple App Store, and we want to bring developers into this ecosystem. But as far as how these newsrooms on our platform achieve sustainability, that's up to them. We want to think of the right ways to support them, but we can't pick favorites in this decentralized world either. So there are a lot of things we need to figure out. Credibility indicators is something I'll show you sort of an example of that. If people are familiar with the Trust Project or the Credibility Coalition, these are first draft. These are different efforts to try to install signals of trust to help people understand, was the reporter on the ground, where did they get their data from, who are they, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I think we can all argue that there are certain people who will never care about credibility indicators. But let's not worry about them for right now. And this is to help illustrate the Wikipedia idea. So if you think about most people who are going to come to a civil newsroom, and I'll show you the ones that are out there publishing now, are not necessarily going to know that it has anything to do with civil, certainly that has anything to do with blockchain or cryptocurrency or anything else, and they don't need to. They shouldn't have to. If they want to know more about it, they can. So in the Wikipedia idea, if they start poking around, they're like, oh, I see, this newsroom runs on civil. Maybe I want to acquire a civil token, right? But that's where most of the people above the waterline are not going to get so wrapped up in the cryptoeconomic part, and they don't need to. But then as you sort of go further down into the water, if you will, there are sort of more reasons to want to understand how this all works, whether you hold a token, you're a developer, you're a newsroom, a journalist, whatever it is. So this is just to sort of recap what I was talking about. I think these bullet points are really what I was saying in terms of how to think about where a citizen fits into this, and the opportunity for newsrooms to publish on the platform, and the tokens that they need to acquire in order to have access to all of this.